Welcome to Fishing Without Bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations. And as always, we're traveling to the far corners of the globe to bring you exciting content. Welcome, my friends. If you're welcome nowhere else, you're welcome here. And today we have the privilege of one of our most eclectic guests, my good friend, the producer of this program and co host, Mr. Mike. It appears that you're lost somewhere in America.
Somewhere in America. We've seen a whole lot of it, Jim, and I'm currently coming from North Little Rock, Arkansas, and we're at another campground. The light is coming off of the camper. If you're on video, you can see some of the fun lights. There's a light up palm tree somebody set up back there. A lot of Christmas lights at some of these campers because I'm realizing it's already mid-November. And I've been out in about since October 31st.
Okay, you left Pittsburgh on October the 31st. And did you go out west to pan for gold? Were you looking for diamonds? Did you find out where the fairies lived? Were you going to go climb the redwoods? Tell me, Mike.
We went out to get my wife. My wife's been out there since July 4th to visit her family out in between Sacramento and San Francisco. And we tried to get her back at the beginning of September. The fires were happening, and we canceled her flight so she could, just in case with everything that's going on out there in California. And we said, hey, my mother is retiring at the end of October. And she said, let's get a camper and let's go get her. And I was like, do you mind staying out there a couple more months and we can do something fun? And I don't have wrestling shows every weekend. I don't have clients where I need to be at events right now with everything going on. It seemed like the perfect time to do something like this. And knowing it was going to be a very tumultuous few weeks with the election, it was like, you know what, maybe we should just be on the road and away from everything.
Okay, so what I'm hearing between the lines is you finally raised the ransom to her kidnappers. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
Now, did she leave willingly, or did
uh,
you have to handcuff her?
for the most part, yes, she left willingly. Yes.
Okay.
We,
All
we
right.
we brought dogs to. We have two labs and a Chihuahua with us in this trip,
So
in the
you have
camper.
two labs, a Chihuahua, and your mother.
My
So,
mother, myself, and my wife.
so tell us about the trip out.
The first few days, I think the first 5 days, we pretty much drove as straight as we could. The other thing with this was, being able to do, say, this show and the other shows that we do and the other work that we do for clients was necessary. I can't take 3 weeks off work, especially with everything going on, and we need everything. We need everything to do everything we can right now, right? So we drove as much as we could for about 5 days, and it was incredible. I've been to a lot of places, Jim. So we've talked about before, with my work with Baja and Formula with SAE International, and I've been to a lot of towns, and I've driven by places that I've stayed, including in Joplin, Missouri, for the Kansas Baja events, and which was interesting to kind of connect those dots because so different to get on a plane and end up somewhere else than to actually drive across time zones and see the in between places between the main places, I guess.
So I guess the politicians would call a lot of what you drove through as flyover country.
The flyover country. Yes, yes. That's basically it. That's basically it. Like the stuff that I've seen from, 3,000 feet in the air and not, on the road. So I've seen a lot of desert, Jim. I've seen a lot of desert, a lot of
So
desert.
So, what could you share with our audience how you used your most valuable resource, your time on this trip, Mike?
It was driving and observing and seeing everything. Again, um, with everything going on, I think it was a really fascinating thing to see the in between, to see more than what we see on TV and everything. I mean, I didn't get to experience a lot of people because we are attempting to be as much of a quarantine on wheels as we can with everything going on, obviously, with the pandemic and everything. But to see the in between, to see the interesting stops along Route 66, and see the states that you've only heard of, like New Mexico. I've never been to New Mexico, even for a plane stop before, right? That's been really fascinating. Kind of puts this. Kind of again fills in that blanks of what America is and how much of it there is.
I love your term, the in between, as we're traveling in the in between. It's like you're traveling through universes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's not like a sudden, oh, I'm in the desert. Oh, I'm in Texas. Oh, I'm in Chicago. It's like you see the gradual changes. Somewhere in Oklahoma, you're not driving through desert anymore, and it starts looking a little bit more like home in the Pittsburgh region.
Inquiring minds want to know, Mike, when did you and your mother first get the inkling that you may want to strangle each other?
That would be probably night 3, if not 4.
Okay.
4, because we got in barely enough time for me to set up for my Tuesday night shows. And I was trying to get everything together, and the dogs were not behaving, and it was just nothing was working. Nothing was working. High pressure situation, and there we were. So, but it's been mostly pretty smooth. Other than that, the
Okay.
dogs, the dogs, on the other hand, are sometimes a little bit of a handful when they
Yeah,
don't want to cooperate.
I'm interested, Mike. How did they handle the trip? Sometimes dogs don't travel well.
These ones do. They're just really chill, and with the two things we've been doing, we stay at these KOA campsites, and we've been stopping as much as we can at these Love's truck stops because they all have dog parks. So we're able to get them out, get them into a caged fenced area to just go do their thing for a little bit. I think that helps them as much as it helps us, probably.
Okay. So tell us about what you did with in the car while you were passing all this time.
Well, I was probably behind the wheel about 75% of the time here, so there's a lot of that, a lot of listening to music. I'm very versed in knowing the songs on K Love, the radio station, because that's what my mother listens to, and I've listened enough to probably listen to every song on there at least 10 times over the last 2 weeks. But
Okay.
which, by the way, very positive. Is that none
Yeah,
of that's a wonderful station to help brighten the spirit. So, oh,
absolutely.
music and just reacting to everything, especially on the drive out. Which is mostly in the daytime, and seeing the cities. Like we drove by through St. Louis and saw the Arch. Through Oklahoma City, through that city in Texas.
Right.
Amarillo, that
Right.
was the one.
Right.
So, and it's been interesting to see those towns, see different stuff going on, and see how everybody's kind of reacting to everything.
Well, this is probably the most time you've spent with your mother in one continuous stretch, probably since you were 10 years old.
Probably since I was a teenager. Oh, yeah, probably since I lived there during college. So,
Yes, yes. So, did you find out your mother was a pretty cool person?
oh, I always knew my mother was a pretty cool person, or else I wouldn't have agreed to do 3 weeks in a camper with her.
Right. Okay. So you're traveling across America, and I keep thinking of that Johnny Cash song, I've Been Everywhere, man.
Oh, I put on some Johnny Cash while we are going through Texas, actually, because it was
Cool.
and that was exactly the song I wanted to pull up. Also, I think we stayed very close to the Folsom Prism because our Texas campsite was on Folsom Road, so we're just
Okay.
like, okay, all right. And
Yes.
very cool things like the one we stayed there in Texas was right on a small airport, so you could see the planes taking off, these old prop planes taking off here and there as we came in late and left in the morning. But cool little incidental stuff. They had petting areas with goats out in California at these things. So it was great, and
Okay.
in having chances, we went up to the Grand Canyon to see that. We went up to Lake Tahoe just to say we went to Lake Tahoe, and just to drive up there like on the side of a mountain was just tremendous sights. All those in betweens.
Wow. Well, we'll be looking forward to posting some pictures on the website. So tell me about a city dude from Pittsburgh interacting with the locals.
Well, I want to say a little bit. I still consider like yeah, I'm a city dude, but I grew up a country dude, so I'm versed in that. And really, and again, we're limited on the locals. Again, just like a Walmart trip, truck stops here and there. Not even the bathrooms since it's on the RV, right? For the most part. But no, everybody's been super friendly that we've run into here and there, especially at these campsites and everything. So I mean, it's been really cool to see. What?
Okay.
Oh, we are at our 11th campsite. My mom is motioning to me. This is the
Wow.
11th one that we've stayed at over the last 2.5 weeks. We
Okay.
got one more and then we're done.
So,
So
Mike, do you believe that my hunch is that there's not as much divisiveness in America as the media portrays?
absolutely not. Nobody have asked my opinion on the election since I've been on the road, so that's kind of nice.
Uh-huh.
But no, absolutely. We kind of get into these. You keep reading the headlines and listen to the opinions and thinking this is what affects everybody, and people are just out here living. So some people aren't even thinking about all that stuff as hard as some of us are.
Well, that's what our the fishing without bait is. It's about living life on purpose, dealing with what's right in front of you, and understanding what's important.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's definitely added a little perspective to that. I think about a lot of things that we talk about on the show as I've been driving these long, long trips in
Yeah.
between these campsites.
I think you'll find that people are the same on Broadway Boulevard in Beachview and the same as in Amarillo, Texas.
Hmm.
It's
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's one thing I've noticed. I've done a lot of traveling over the last 5 years, and it really is that from Texas to Thailand, it's all just people.
yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. So tell us about getting into California and meeting your beloved bride.
Well, first thing I did was hug. So and that was great. And it was just good that the kind of I was like I was saying I haven't had a hug in 4 months. Except for a fellow that always insists when I see him at the wrestling shoots we've been doing named Beastman. So, but yeah. So now it's definitely it's good to have her back, and can't wait to get home and kind of settle back into life a
Well,
little
tell,
bit.
tell us what was going through your mind when you saw your wife that you hadn't seen in 5 months.
Oh, there she is. Oh, wait, she is real. Uh, it's kind of the biggest thing, and just a big sense of relief. Definitely, just a big sense of relief, and that she got in to come home with us.
Did she recognize you?
I don't know. She didn't really indicate.
Ah, okay. So she is coming back willingly.
Yes, appears to be.
So where are we speaking from right now, Mike?
Little Rock, Arkansas. We're staying here. This is our second night here, and we're actually going to be staying one more night and then heading through Tennessee, hopefully to see Graceland in Memphis. We'll be driving
Oh,
through
cool.
Nashville. I'd love my mother to see a little bit more in Nashville, but that unfortunately is when it's open. It's more interesting when I've been there the last couple of times. So we're gonna have to. We're making check marks. We're making notes for what to come back to when things get back to an open status around the country.
Right.
And then I think we're staying a night in Louisville, and we're gonna be back. And that's about it.
When will you be back in the Berg?
This Thursday at
Ah,
some point.
wonderful. Wonderful.
So I'll be back in the office and trying to catch up on things Friday. So
Okay. Well, one of the Stoic philosophies is, Mike, that in order to appreciate what we have, at times it's good to take it away, to deny ourselves from these things.
like our home and a bathroom that I can fit in and a shower that I can stand up in.
Yes.
I
Yes,
miss those. I
exactly.
do miss those. I'll really appreciate
Exactly.
those when I get back after 3 weeks.
Yes. So appreciating those things, and we've talked a bit about it this on the show a number of times, that when you turn the key in your ignition in your car and it starts, you don't think anything of it. However, when you turn the key and it doesn't start, that causes a lot of distress.
Hmm.
So, what we try to do is have people change people's mindsets that when they turn the key to the car and it starts, to have some gratitude and say that's a positive. So, tell us about some of the real positives that you experienced on your way out, Mike.
That I didn't reenact the scene from the movie RV when I was setting up the sewage for the first time. The Robin Williams film, which we did watch out here, and it's very relatable now.
Okay.
Um, so things like that, and again, things like we didn't have mechanical issues with the camper, is a rental camper that we're getting,
Uh-huh.
and there's a lot of kind of unknowns there, and it's like, oh no, what happens if something happens here, right? Like, where does that go from there? And so that's kind of an interesting you know conundrum, because I don't know this vehicle very well, but we learned a lot about it.
Well, one thing we often talk about on the show, Mike, is to expect the unexpected. Have
Yes.
your eyes wide open and have that beginner's mind.
And to that effect, we really didn't have much of a plan beyond getting Missy. We had some ideas where we wanted to come back through and things like that. Grand Canyon was definitely on there, but also we knew we already diverted our trip to go to a more southern route, which probably took longer because of the snow through like Colorado, and the upper routes through the mountains are going to be. I don't want to drive this thing through snow.
Yes.
Um, and coming back, even, it was like, oh, it's snowing in Flagstaff, let's stay out. We ended up staying out in California for a week. We did not intend to do that. We were intending to spend maybe 2 days max in
Okay.
California and spend a little more time in between. So we did have that what happens. We were going to just spend a night here in Little Rock and just head over to Tennessee, and just decided, let's just stick around for a couple nights, and that kind of idea with things. And just said, hey, the plans keep changing. I was like, well, we really didn't have a plan to begin with. So, it's whatever feels right at the time.
So I hearing from you, Mike, that you've embraced the philosophy of fishing without bait, and that's avoiding definitive expectations.
Jim, I have not had a definitive expectation since probably March at this point. You understand?
Yes.
With everything
Yeah,
going on, we don't know what next month is going to look like.
that's correct.
Even especially in my business, I don't know what March is or next month is going to look like. Let alone thinking 3 months, 6 months from now. There's some nice to haves, but if they don't happen, it's not entirely in my control, and I can only do what I can with it. Including, hey, you know what? We can go on this trip. I know that's something we can do, and we'll figure out what's next after that.
Well, and again, the Stoics have a term called amor fati. It's embrace fate,
Absolutely.
embracing fate. Well, Mike, I'm really looking forward to seeing you. I'm really looking forward to seeing, especially Missy, on your return. And you can let Missy know that I didn't let you lead me down any wrong paths, even though you tried.
Yeah, that's for sure. I've had some suggestions. No, it's great. And if you want to follow along, if you're on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, we have a hashtag Sorgs Across America, and you can follow along with that. I had actually was working on some more videos, kind of pulling together a little bit of that trip, and also a good friend of ours, Matt Carlins. Mainstream Matt with one T on the Twitter, he put together with Google Earth a Wicket tracker. Wicket is my dog, by the way. And so as I was going, you can follow along on Google Earth the stops that I've made and the things that I posted along the trip, which is kind of a fascinating thing that he just started based on my social media posts. So that's been some fun stuff that's coming out of this, and just everybody's interactions with things, and seeing this trip through our perspective, and the dogs and the dogs' reactions have been tremendous as well.
So people hitchhiked across the America with the Sorgs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody's coming along with the Sorgs.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, we're looking forward to your coming home. We're looking forward to the rest of the year dealing with these times of uncertainty and trying to connect the dots and straighten things out. I'd like everyone up there to stay tuned as we have a roster of eclectic guests. We're going to continue. Our good friend Liz Victory is going to be joining us in a future podcast to talk about her further adventures in New York City. I spoke to her today, and more eclectic guests to come. So, my friends, once again, a free prescription: fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself, do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.